Francesco Bagnaia, the two-time Motogp world champion and star of the Ducati factory team, is now in the spotlight. Last season's hero has become a symbol of Ducati's fragility at the start of the 2025 Motogp season. The situation reached its lowest point at the 2025 French Grand Prix when Bagnaia returned from the Le Mans circuit empty-handed. Harsh criticism came from various sources, including former racers like Dani Pedrosa and seasoned observers, as well as the former LCR Honda team boss. What are these criticisms? Let's discuss. Last season, Bagnaia was a symbol of Ducati's dominance. He dominated the track with 11 Grand Prix wins and secured the World Championship title. However, this season was very different. Of the 6 races held so far, Bagnaia has only made it to the top podium once, at the America's GP, to be exact. The rest. He was left behind, overtaken, and even fell. He is already 51 points behind his teammate Marc Marquez, Ducati's new rider who immediately took off and caused the Italian team to silently divide. The tragic results at the French GP further exacerbated this situation. During the sprint race, Bagnaia fell and failed to finish. In the main race, he had another incident that left him in 16th place with no points. It was one of the worst weekends of his career with Ducati. Former LCR Honda team manager Oscar Harrow, known for his sharp and candid analysis, called Bagnaia's performance a total disaster. Harrow said that Bagnaia now seems to have lost his identity as a world champion. Pecco has lost his confidence, focus, and direction, Harrow told Motosan. He should have won the race at Le Mans. But the opposite happened. He collapsed under pressure. It was disappointing because everyone at Ducati, Dalligna, Tardozzi, and even Pirro, had made it clear that they expected more from a world champion. Harrow not only made sharp criticisms of Bagnaia's performance on the track, but also highlighted the potential for serious conflict behind the scenes, specifically between Bagnaia and Ducati's management. According to the senior analyst, the tension building in the Italian factory team's garage could explode. If tensions continue without any concrete efforts to resolve the conflict, Bagnaia may take an extreme step and leave Ducati before his contract expires. If the atmosphere doesn't improve, it's possible that Bagnaia will make a surprising decision, Harrow said firmly in an interview. When a world champion feels he lacks the team's full support and the garage atmosphere is filled with more pressure than trust, leaving becomes a tempting option, especially for a rider like Bagnaia who knows his market value. Harrow's statement immediately shook the paddock. Bagnaia, known as Ducati's golden boy and a symbol of the Desmosedici project's success, is now on the defensive. This is evident not only in the championship standings, which are starting to distance him from the title, but also psychologically. His former self-confidence now seems to be wavering under the fog of uncertainty about his future with the team that once adored him. Former MotoGP rider and Repsol Honda icon Dani Pedrosa also addressed the internal dynamics shaking the Ducati factory team garage. He didn't discuss technical or racing strategy, but rather the mentality of a world champion disturbed by a new force in his inner circle. According to Pedrosa, Marquez's presence in the Ducati garage has created an enormous wave of pressure for Bagnaia, the two-time world champion who was previously dominant on the red team. The pressure, Pedrosa said, did not come from outside sources, such as rivals or media expectations, but from within himself. Bagnaia now lives in Marquez's shadow, Pedrosa said seriously. He may not say it openly, but deep down, he wonders, why do I have to be in the same garage as Marquez now? It's not just about sharing data or strategies. It's about sharing a space with a legend who has a great reputation and burning ambition. Pedrosa continued that the situation became much more complicated when Marquez began performing extraordinarily. When the 8-time world champion started recording fantastic lap times and dominating practice sessions, qualifying, and races, the atmosphere of the paddock turned in his direction. All of that created almost unbearable psychological pressure. It wasn't ordinary pressure, said Pedrosa. It was pressure that could break a person from the inside. Bagnaia was not only fighting Marquez's speed, but also his aura, charisma, and the long history that accompanied him. Pedrosa emphasized that what Bagnaia experienced was far beyond a mere technical challenge. It wasn't about tire grip or suspension settings. It was a very tough mental test. It was an inner battle where a world champion suddenly had to face the fact that he was no longer the center of attention in his own garage. When a champion begins to doubt himself and the dominance he's built over years is slowly shifting to a new, bigger figure, doubts arise, said Pedrosa. And that doubt is dangerous. It's the beginning of a rider's self-confidence collapse. Chico Lorenzo, father of MotoGP legend Jorge Lorenzo, was no less harsh in his criticism of Francesco Bagnaia's current mental state and performance. According to him, the defending champion is in a pivotal situation that could lead to a comeback or the end of his career. "Bagnaia is in the middle of a perfect storm," said Chico in a serious tone. "We'll see if he emerges from the storm as a true fighter or if he sinks and loses his way. One thing is clear, though, at Le Mans, he no longer showed the class and composure of a world champion." Furthermore, Chico insinuated that Bagnaia has lost his rhythm against strong rivals such as Marc Marquez and Jorge Martin, as well as against Fabio Quartararo, a Yamaha rider who has struggled to perform at his best this season. Just imagine, he is now behind Quartararo. This is not just a bad result or an unlucky weekend. It's a warning signal that cannot be ignored, he said. Lorenzo ended his comments on a worried note, as if to say that if Ducati and Bagnaia don't find a solution soon, the storm surrounding the champion could turn into a hurricane and destroy everything. Ducati team manager Davide Tardozzi tried to maintain a positive atmosphere amid the increasing pressure within the team. He emphasized that the team still has full confidence in Francesco Bagnaia. However, he believes that now is the time for the defending champion to demonstrate his leadership skills on the track. "We have worked hard to support him, from the technicians to the race strategy," Tardozzi told Crash.net. "But in the end, it all comes down to Pecco himself. He's the one on the bike. He's the one who has to show his best self. The competition is very tight. KTM and Aprilia have developed incredibly quickly, and they won't wait for anyone. Pecco has to adapt, and he has to do it now." Tardozzi firmly denied the wild rumors about an internal conflict between Bagnaia and Marquez, both of whom now ride for Ducati. However, he acknowledged that psychological pressure could affect the rider's performance, especially amid high expectations and intense public scrutiny. "They are both true professionals. There are no personal problems between Pecco and Marc," he said. "But it's clear that external pressure, whether from the media, fans, or results on the track, could disrupt Pecco's focus. That's something he has to overcome if he wants to start winning again." The British Grand Prix at Silverstone from May 23 to 25, 2025, is not just another race for Francesco Bagnaia. It could be a turning point toward a revival or the beginning of the end of his career as a top rider. With the points gap widening at the top of the standings and his confidence slowly eroding under internal and external pressures, the two-time world champion now finds himself at a crossroads. Fans, analysts, and the global media are waiting with curiosity and hope to see if Francesco Bagnaia can rise from his slump, overcome his doubts, and show his true talent as a world champion once again. Or will he falter under the pressure and lose his footing amid Marc Marquez's resurgence, his rival, who now seems unstoppable on his Ducati? Marquez is creating a new wave that threatens to shake up the MotoGP competition and take the title Bagnaia has held onto for so long. Share your thoughts in the comments below.